Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to hear from author, educator, innovator, and passionate champion of student leadership, Mr. Patrick Irwin. Patrick spent 17 years as a high school music teacher in one of the largest band programs in the Southeast. Patrick holds master's and specialist degrees in music education from the University of Georgia and Auburn University, as well as a Tier 1 leadership certificate from Berry College. His excellence in education has been recognized widely. Today, Patrick serves as the Director of Content and Training for Growing Leaders in the Maxwell Leadership Foundation, where he brings his expertise in developing dynamic tools that help educators teach life skills, social-emotional learning, and leadership through powerful images, stories, and experiences. His first book, I Love This Place, launches in March of next year. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Patrick Irwin.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Gina, for that introduction. Like she said, my name is Patrick Irwin, and I'm going to be talking to you today for the next 30 minutes or so about how you can build a culture at your school, at your place of business, in your organization, that you can amplify that culture that will help you reignite staff, reconnect students, rally your community. In short, a place where people can say, I love this place, right? So a little bit about me, other than what the video just told you. I was a teacher for a long time, 17 years in the classroom as a high school band director. And what that meant was I got to interact and engage with hundreds of students every single day for 4 years. Those students elected to be there, and most of them stayed for all 4 years. And we had the opportunity to build some amazing culture. But before we get into what that looks like, go back with me to 2006. I had just graduated from college, and I got the best job I could have hoped for. I got to open a brand new school in Cobb County, Georgia, west of Atlanta, and it's one of the top 150 communities for music in all of the country. It was my dream job. And so let's go back and look a little bit about what that may have looked like. This was a thing that one of our band parents made for us, a little comic book around Mr. Irwin. This was young Mr. Irwin, 26 years old, brand new, right out of college, dream job, who thought he knew everything, had all the answers. Nobody could tell me what to do. I knew exactly what to do. Luckily, I was the assistant director at the time because there was somebody else there that could kind of compensate for my weaknesses. But if you'd asked me, I didn't have any. And so what that looked like, I was very confident, very loud, very outgoing. And I thought because of that, and we laughed a lot and had a good time, that my students loved me, right? I would look around and be like, these kids love me. They must. Of course they do. One day in late 2007, a student said, hey, Mr. Irwin, have you ever heard of RateMyTeacher.com? And I said, no, what's that? I said, well, it's a website where students go and rate their teachers anonymously. You should go check it out. And I went, okay, that sounds awesome. Of course, I was going to find all the amazing things that my students were saying about me on this website. And so I went there and found this. I'll let you read it, but if only Mr. Irwin was half as good at teaching band as he thinks he is, we would be okay. And you know, that wasn't what I wanted to hear. Kind of hurt a little bit. And I wish I could tell you that after reading that, I went back and said, I need to make some changes. And what I did do was say, you know what, maybe I need better classroom management. Maybe I need more technology. Maybe I need to change the way that I'm studying my scores or preparing for class. I thought techniques and strategies would be enough to fix the issues that we were facing. Because what you see there is an issue that students are having with the person leading them, not with how I was taking care of my classes. And so over the years, I kind of looked into lots of different things, and it got a little bit better. But what I thought I needed and what I actually needed were not the same thing. And so one year, we averaged 100 plus students that would come over from the middle school. Recruiting and retention were our number one measurements for how we were doing, because you can't teach an empty chair, right? And so I thought to myself, things should be going well if students are coming over from the middle school. One year we shrank by 15%. Instead of 100 students, we had 85 coming over, and I started doing the math and thought to myself, there's a problem here. And so I went to the smartest person that I know, and I asked them for advice. So the smartest person I know, you'll see on the screen, and you'll actually get to meet her a little bit later. Her name is Mrs. Irwin, Erin, and she's my wife, of course. And here's what she told me, which was what I needed to hear. I can't help but notice that you spend a lot of time teaching leadership to students and a lot less time being a leader yourself. honest wife, right? Ouch. Turns out techniques and strategy were not enough for the problems that we were facing. My students needed me to be a better leader. They needed me to be a better person, a strong example of what I wanted to see in them. And so I got busy. The first book that I read was 360 Degree Leader by John Maxwell, and it completely changed how I viewed leadership. Of course, I knew I needed to lead my students well, but how could I lead my colleagues and my fellow staff members better? And how could I lead my principal well? How could I build a culture around the person that I was and how I was leading my students? I would love to tell you that the change was immediate, but it was slow. But over the next year, what I started to see was more students joining, more students coming to me with things, and they started to approach me with things that they trusted me to keep secret or trusted me with their thoughts and their feelings, etc. We started to get closer and build more connection because I became a better leader. Where I knew that things were going well, Miss Barbara Morgan came to me one day in the hall. You have a Miss Barbara Morgan at your school. She answers the phones, she welcomes people, maybe clicks the door to let people in. She was a brilliant leader for our school. And I had taught both of her students. And she stopped me in the hall. Both of her children were my students. She stopped me in the hall and said, Mr. Irwin, I think you've made a pretty big change in the way that you're leading, in the way that you're teaching, in the way that you're engaging with people. Is that right? Did you do that on purpose? And I went, Miss Morgan, I did do it on purpose. She said, you know what? It's almost like you're glowing. You're a different person than you used to be. And I thought to myself, maybe there's something to this let's become a better leader thing. And then what if I shared it with other students? I'll get to that in a second. The whole deal with writing this book called I Love This Place, about how we can make culture surrounding leadership, came to me on an image on Facebook. It looked like this. One of my friends, her name is Katie, she teaches in the Atlanta area, they were getting a brand new school building. And a part of that school building was they were moving it right next door, and they were saying goodbye to their old school building. It had been there since the 70s, a little dingy, a little dusty. You can probably close your eyes and imagine what it smelled like, right? Those old classrooms. And she had this awesome idea. Let's go in the old room with Sharpies and write our bye-bye messages on the wall. Let's say goodbye to the old building before we get into our beautiful new building. And this picture showed up on my Facebook wall where a student had gone in there and wrote with Sharpie, I love this place, and marked it with a heart. And immediately I went, I need to save that. That's exactly the idea I've been looking for. Everything I tried to create for 17 years, especially after I started to figure it out, was how do I get students? How do I get staff? How do I get every single person in my area of influence to walk in the room, walk in the building, and think to themselves, man, I love this place. And when you think about why someone would write that, it has nothing to do with the cinder block wall, right? The cinder block wall is not lovable in and of itself. It's what happened in there, the memories they made, the connections that they made, and the people that they got to experience music or learning with. And what I'm really talking about here is culture. My favorite definition of culture is this. Culture is the attitudes, values, attitudes, and expected behaviors that impact how your school operates, right? I would challenge all of you leaders out there. Can you write down your values? Can you write down the attitudes, how you want people to feel? What are they saying in your building? Can you write down those expected behaviors? What do you want people to do? How do they treat one another? Write those things down, kind of mix it up into a paragraph. Boom, that's your culture. That's what you're looking for. And this is a really big deal. And let me tell you why. It's a really big deal because here's some truths about culture. The first truth about culture is unhappy people, they complain about leadership. You've done it. I've done it. We've been there to say, you know what? My principal just doesn't get me. Or that person doesn't like me. Or I just wish they would figure it out. Or maybe I need to go work somewhere else, right? We fall into the trap sometimes of complaining about our leaders when we're unhappy. Maybe you had a bad job. You worked at, of course not Chick-fil-A, but assume you were working at Chick-fil-A, you had a bad manager. You complain about that manager. The flip side of that is happy people rave about culture. They say things like, I love this place. I love it here. I love how I feel when I'm here. The people here are great. This is a wonderful place to be, work, and learn. And the real rub here is that people choose to love a place, loathe a place, or leave a place because of both. Great leadership and great culture combined make it so that people will love it. They make it so they don't want to leave it, right? And make it so that they feel seen, heard, that they belong. And so if you get nothing else from me today, what I'm actually saying is that I love this place means this place loves me. When I'm here, I feel loved. I feel like I belong. I feel like the person standing in front of me, the person leading me, gets me, but also challenges me. I want to know that my leader cares about me, but I also want to know that my leader helps me grow, plain and simple.